Okay, you guys, why don't you do some playing or something?
Look at mommy.
Hello, baby. Look what he's doing. That's crazy. What are you doing? What are you doing?
3-2 service. I can open the net. Let's go say hi.
All right, let's see you serve.
Let's see you make it over the net. Here, pull your socks back.
Hello, Susie.
Hi,
Susie Archer,
there.
Timothy, and Laura, and
Behind there! Mary! Nice! Behind your car! And 3-2 service. Turn down really fast. Here, Timothy's gonna stand up. Da-da-da-da! Yeah! Yeah, there's Timothy. And there he goes. And then let's get back up again. 3-2 service. Let's get back up again. Try to make you over your neck. Just go like this. Yeah. Uh-oh, your sock came off. Go, go, go. 3-2 service.
pretty good pose, Mary. But you're fast, Mary. You're on the track team. You gotta be fast. Look at you. Mildred Agnes Babb. And how old are you, Grandma?
What should I tell how old I am?
Are you 85?
I'm going to be 86 in April.
Oh, that's great. What's the earliest thing you can remember? In your childhood.
When you get your glasses.
I got my glasses when I was 50 years old.
50?
50, yes.
Can you tell me about Grandpa Eric Magnus Larson when you first saw him? What you thought about it?
Was he cute?
Yeah, he wasn't very old then, we thought he was. I was his oldest grandchild.
And what did you think of your?
3.5 years old.
What did you think of your little brother?
Well, I thought he was kind of cute.
And tell me about that ride that you guys had on the cart,
What cart?
or but what did you ride on, the buggy or something?
Sleigh.
Sleigh. Tell me about that.
Well, not much about it.
Was it
There
fun?
were a couple of horses pulling it. And
What's your favorite color?
my favorite color.
Hmm?
Well, my favorite color now is kind of orange, but it used to be pink.
Me too.
Yeah, let's see, what else?
And still is. Pink and purple.
Better throw that away.
How many kids did you have?
4.
4 kids? And
Rhythm.
can you tell of an interesting experience in the berry fields when you used to pick? Did you have any interesting experiences?
I don't think so. Nothing extraordinary.
Nothing extraordinary. How about,
I know we used to pick berries all day, and then when we quit, we'd always walk about 3 miles to the store so the kids could buy some candy and spend some of their money.
and what about, what did you say, about bees or something?
Was it you that
Oh, yeah,
told
there was
about those
a-
bees
there was a
that swarmed over?
Big swarm of bees. Didn't sting anybody. They don't really
Yeah.
sting when they're swarming. They're all fastened together. Why don't you turn it over there?
And And let me see, what else do we think of? Let's see, can you think of anything when you lived in Portland, in that big old house? Any special, neat experiences in that big old house that you lived in Portland? Anything that happened that might have been funny or that neat or...
Did you have TV?
If they did, we might have forgotten it.
What did you think of when you got your first television?
Well, it was pretty nice to have one at last.
Because they didn't have any TVs when you were born, did they?
I think Robbie and Jess went together and bought me my first one.
And when you were a kid, what did you do, being they didn't have television?
Oh, we played most of the time.
Uh-huh.
Ran outside, walked down fences, waded through snow. There's always a lot of snow in Michigan when we were little.
Did they have any radio?
No,
No radio when you were a kid either?
no radio. Some lucky people had a phonograph, but we didn't.
And let me think. What can you remember about your dad? Grandpa Larson. What did he look like? Uh-huh.
He was young and he had lots of red hair in those days, but when you saw him, he was bald-headed, wasn't he?
Uh-huh, at the rest home.
What color hair did you used to have?
Red. My father had red hair.
Oh.
And what color did your mother hair was your mother's hair?
Kind of a golden brown.
Uh-huh.
When she got older, it got the same color as Nona's. You know, kind of a darker brown.
Uh-huh. And let me think. And you helped raise your brothers then?
Well, Stanley and Earl were young. Francis and John, they were a little younger than I was, but Stanley was only 2 years old when our mother died.
And then how old was she when she died?
She was 37.
Boy, that was young.
Pretty young, yeah.
And can you remember anything real special about your mother that you really liked?
Well, she was always kind to us kids. Once in a while she'd take us to the fair, but we didn't get to go very often. Alpena County Fair. We didn't go to the Alcona Fair because I don't know why not, but we always went to the Alpena County Fair. That was the highlight of our life, going to that fair in the fall.
What was the thing you liked best about the fair?
I think the things they do now, merry-go-rounds.
So they had like a carnival at the fair?
Didn't seem like they had as much of a carnival as they do now.
Did they have any rides?
Well, not too many. They had merry-go-round and a Ferris wheel, and I think that's about all. I don't remember having any of these other things.
They didn't have any scary rides or anything like zoom like that?
No, they hadn't invented those. I think they had little trains, though. Kids always used to like those.
And that's what you could ride on a train, a little train?
Little trains, you know, that
Huh.
went all around the fairground.
Was there really a lot of houses when you came here?
In this town? I don't think they've built very many since. Still had
Same amount,
9,000 when we came, and it's still a little over 9,000.
Did you ever live in a log cabin?
Yes.
Where did you live in a log cabin at?
Well, it's a place called Atlanta, Michigan, only it wasn't in the town. It was a kind of a lumber place. There my dad had this tie camp where they cut railroad ties. They didn't make them in factories, mills, then they did them by hand.
And then what did
And we lived in this log cabin.
you have like old, did you have like a bathroom in there or not?
No.
So would you have to go bathroom?
Outdoor.
Mhm.
The first house we lived in out in that place was made out of cedar bark.
Oh, wow.
And you had to go to the bathroom outside?
Well,
Like
it was
in
so
a-
funny. The cedar trees were big around, and they peeled them off and they cut it as high as, about 6 feet high, I guess. And then they pound some posts in the ground and put this big piece of bark all around it. I guess they had to build the inside of it with one place to sit. And then in the front of it, they just opened up some, I guess you'd call them potato bags now, you know, the kind of,
I heard
that was a door.
I heard something about. I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody told me something about an outhouse that had a whole bunch of seats in it. Was it your dad's
That was
made
my
that?
grandpa that,
Or your grandpa? Tell me about this. That must have been funny.
I think he had about 4 seats in it, different sizes, because when we moved out to Michigan from Oregon, I wanted to have enough holes for everybody.
And did everybody go out there at the same time?
I guess they did. I don't know.
Can you say hi to everybody?
He had quite a few daughters. My grandfather did, you know.
How many daughters did he have?
Well, he had Aunt Josie, Aunt Helen, Aunt Lily, and Aunt Marie.
So I guess with family size.
Yeah, they were all teenagers when he first built it. But then he built some little short ones for us when we came.
For the little kids.
Yeah.
And he probably was pretty excited to see you kids when he saw you for the first time, wasn't he?
He didn't say much. He only spoke Swedish. We didn't understand a word. He could talk English, but he always spoke Swedish to his family. We liked him anyway, you know. He had a mustache.
Do you want to say hi to everybody? All the kids and stuff?
Huh?
Can you say hi to John and them?
Yeah. Raymond was not much older than your little brother here. He was a little older, though.
Do you want to say hi to?
Grandparents.
Well, we liked our grandma. I used to follow her around all over, hold her hand, and she was a little, spoke Norwegian more, and she liked chickens. She had a lot of chickens. And her sons, Uncle Carl and Uncle, yeah, they used to catch a lot of big pikes in the lake. And
Who's your great grandma?
they had fish eggs in them, like salmon eggs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She used to feed those to her chickens.
Huh.
And I know once when I went with her to the chicken house to feed, she'd hold them up in the air like that, so the chickens, they were real tame. They'd jump up and get it. One of them jumped so high it pecked her hand and started to bleed, and I felt so bad.
Oh my goodness.
Chickens.
You know that you're great grandma now? Well, who was your great grandma?
Well, my great-grandmas were dead when I was born.
Oh, you don't know?
Yeah, my mother's mother died when my mother was only 5 years old. That would have been my great-grandmother.
Do you even know her name?
Yeah, her name was Kirsten. They called her Christine in this country, but that was my mother's grandmother. I had one great-grandmother. That was Christine's mother. My grandmother was Kirsten or Christina. Her mother was Andrine.
I
was about 9 or 10 years old when I first saw her, and I was so happy because I was taller than she was. We were both real short. I wasn't very tall when I was 10 years old.
And so what, did they ever speak of Scandinavia or Norway or Sweden or anything?
If they did, they didn't tell us anything because we couldn't understand it, their language.
Do you have any favorite books?
Books?
Yeah, from when you were young, when you were a little girl?
Oh, we just had, in school we had some books. I don't remember what they were. Read all the books they had in the school.
Did you have any favorite ones of all?
No, I don't think I had any favorite ones.
Well, what schools did you go to growing up?
Well, that school?
What schools did you go to growing up?
First school we went was in Spruce. I remember it had a number. Didn't have any name. Number something. Raymond and I went to start at the same time. I was 7 and he was almost 6.
Is that the school that you rode the horse to? What school was it that
was
you
in
rode this?
Idaho. But this was in Spruce when we first started school, Michigan.
Uh-huh.
And he was, he wouldn't have been 6 until December, but we started in the fall. So we both started at the same time.
And then what was the next school you went to?
Then we moved away and we went up to that camp where we lived in a log cabin. And we had to walk. We had to, let's see, I didn't go to that one first. There were enough kids up in that camp, different houses, so they hired a school teacher to come up and teach us.
Hmm.
And there was a man working for my dad in this camp my dad had. And the teacher, they fell in love, so they decided they wouldn't wait and get married. They'd get married right away, so she quit school in March instead of waiting until May when school should have been out.
So you got out of school early that year?
Yeah, we had many teachers, so we couldn't go. And then after that, a lot of the other people moved away, so they didn't hire another teacher. And then we had to walk for 4 miles to go to a country school. 4 miles, that's a long way.
That's a long
3.5,
ways.
we called it 4, but
Took a long time to get to school, didn't it then?
yeah.
Was it really fun there at
Yeah,
that
it was
school?
Mr. Ostrander's school.
Mm.
He was a American of Dutch ancestry. He's kind of an old man. He was
I have
real
a
nice.
question for you. Who do you think is your best teacher?
Well, I kind of like that teacher that got married and moved away, Bessie Smith. I've still got a picture of her. But the first teacher we had was Christina Stewart. We were all scared of teachers in those days. We kind of liked her, but we were all scared of her.
Did they believe in capital punishment on students?
No, nobody. They had a woodshed where they always threatened to take people. They had one of them. There were 2 teachers in that school in Spruce. And if anybody misbehaved, they'd tell him to go out. They'd go out in this woodshed. And he had a little ruler. He hit him on the hand with it.
Ouch.
Didn't hurt him. They didn't do anything cruel.
But it scared them, didn't it?
Yeah. It was more the embarrassment.
Of having to go to the woodshed?
It was funny because there was a little school and then they added this other one on it. Built a new one. We lived in the new part. I mean, we had a school in the new part. You had to go through the woodshed to get into the other one.
And so you went to school also
And after we moved away from the farm and moved up to that camp, that's when I went to those other 2 schools.
And was it better there than other?
Oh, we liked Mr. Ostrander because if it was a nice day, he'd say, let's not have school today, let's just go take walks in the woods. So we did. He said they could learn just as much.
Staying at school is taking walks in the woods?
Yeah, because he only had a few children and he was
So I guess you were lucky.
he was teaching all 8 grades in that one little room, one little school. So in the springtime he'd say, let's go out and look at all the flowers, and in the fall we'd go out and pick nuts, wild nuts, and look at leaves and things.
Huh.
But the sad part was when it got too cold and winter, cold and snowy, we couldn't go to school and go that far to walk, so we had to quit.
So you never got to take your walks in the snow then, did you?
No, we didn't
Not with
go
the
back
school
in the
teacher.
spring in the spring we didn't start the school again. And we went out to Idaho.
You know
after that.
something? You're luckier than we are because we have to have we have school for 9 o'clock to 3:15, and you had just you got to go on walks and stuff almost every day, didn't you?
Well, we had to walk to school, but
Yeah, and we don't. We have to stay and do work all day. He never. Well, our teacher doesn't really say like that you don't have to, that we can have walks and stuff every day. That's not every day. That's like for stuff we have to do at school, like work. So it's not that fair from the old days.
Mr. Ostrander did what he pleased, you know.
Yeah,
I
then,
sure would like to see him in the next world, that nice old man.
so when did you go to school in
Then he
Idaho?
didn't go to school at all for about a whole year after that.
Uh-huh.
So then we went to Idaho, and then we went to Topance, Idaho. No town there now. There's a farming place, and there was a country school there, one room.
What did your dad do for a living?
He was a farmer in Idaho. He raised wheat.
Was he a good? Did he raise a lot of wheat, or how much wheat did he
Well,
raise?
I don't know how many acres, but in Michigan did general farming. That's when you had a crop of everything, a few fields of peas and a few fields of beans and some oats and corn and wheat. And they had cattle then. Not too many, about 7,000 about all we had at once. And a team of horses and a buggy horse. Called her a buggy horse because hitched her on the buggy. We didn't have any car. Nobody hardly had any cars when I was a little kid.
And so, how did you get around then?
We had to go in this buggy. Fanny pulling it.
So did you go? You probably didn't go very large distances
We
then.
didn't go very much. We got to stay home more.
Hmm.
Once in a while we went up to Lear to visit my other grandparents, my mother's father.
And how far were you from Lear?
40 miles, but that was a long way to ride.
Oh, to ride in a horse and carriage or buggy.
Yeah. He came down and got us once, our grandpa did. I was 7 years old, I can remember. We thought that was great. Because his youngest daughter was my mother's half-sister, because his first wife was my mother's mother, and she died after she had twins. He didn't get married again for quite a few years. Then his second wife had a pair of twins too, but one of them died. And then my mother moved away and got married, and after that, they got this other girl named Alice, and she was only 3 months older than I was. It was my aunt, half-aunt, I guess you'd call her half-aunt. So they invited me to go up there to visit, but we didn't seem to get along too good.
You didn't get along with your
I
half?
was used to fighting with brothers, and she was the baby of their family, and but we'd play together anyway. She had a playhouse with dolls and all kinds of stuff in it. Remember, I always wanted to take all the clothes off her dolls, and she didn't want to do that. I was a little kid. And I remember once she had a boyfriend, at least he was a friend, he used to come over there. And I started playing with him, and we got mad at her, and we went up on top of the shed and threw apples at her, I remember.
Oh,
It
my.
was very nice. There's an apple tree growing on the shed.
So you were up on top of the shed, you said, throwing the apples down at her?
The boy and I went up there and we threw apples at her. Remember, that was kind of mean, but we were just only 7 years old, remember.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of my sad memories. I thought it was great at the time, you know.
Yeah. That makes it hard to be a good friend to a relative that way.
Yeah, she was a nice little girl.
And so, what did you think about your mother? Did you get a chance to get to know her?
Oh,
Your
my
mom?
mother wasn't there, except when we were visiting. Well, I was going to tell you about how we took baths there.
Or how did you take a bath?
See, my Aunt Agnes, my mother's own sister that was older, she was keeping house for her father and taking care of the little girl and the teenage brother that was older. And the other girl that was high school age, well, they told us to go upstairs and take a bath. I thought they'd probably have a wash tub because that's what we had at home.
Uh-huh.
They had a little, like they call it a wash pan of about this big now, about a foot across, and water in it. We set it in the middle of the floor, and we're supposed to take a bath in that, both of us at the same time.
How big around was it again?
You know those wash pans? Like
Uh-huh.
those
And that's what you
running
took. And that's
after?
what you were to get in to take a bath in?
Yeah, that's what she told us to take. That's the way they took baths.
Oh my.
You're supposed to give us each a wash rag and a great big cake of soap and towel each, and we had to go upstairs and put our feet in it, and wash ourselves all over.
Uh-huh.
For Christmas, what did you get for Christmas, like, when you were young?
I'll tell you, but I was going to tell you about the water. We got in a quarrel like we always did, and we stepped in the tub, and I mean the pan that spilled water all over.
So what'd you
Aunt
get for
Agnes
Christmas?
came upstairs and she scolded both of us. Said, "You girls never can get along."
That was you and the same cousin, or was
That
it?
was the older sister, you know. My
Uh-huh.
mother's sister's a lot older. So I don't think I ever went up and stayed there anymore.
So what'd you get for Christmas?
Oh, usually got a doll.
Was it made out of wood or anything? Was most stuff made out of wood those days?
No, they hadn't invented plastic, but they had something else. I don't know what it was. Sometimes we got those dolls with the, I guess you'd call it glass heads.
Porcelain? Did you have porcelain or glass?
Some of them were porcelain, some were glass too.
Huh.
You know, they weren't transparent glass, but
Was
they were,
mostly everything made out of wood?
no. We always got a trumpet made out of wood each Christmas.
Who got it? Your brother or you?
Well, all three of us usually.
Huh.
Kind of like they're painted red, and we always look forward to getting one of them. And then they nearly always got a harmonica, boys.
So did you do music? Play music then?
Well, I don't say it was real music. It's plenty of noise, though.
Uh-huh. Did any of your family play an instrument
No, we didn't have any instruments.
back in those days?
No.
So how many instruments was there? Was there just the harmonica? Was that all?
Trumpets, they called them.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't real trumpets, but they made noise anyway.
Uh-huh.
Once in a while you'd get one of those, what do you call those things you pound with a wooden mallet?
Oh, yeah, I don't know what they're
Just
called.
The small ones. You could play tunes on those, but
Oh.
I don't know what you call them.
What did you eat back in those days?
Oh yeah.
Had plenty of food.
And what type of foods? Anything different than what you eat now, or?
Well, more or less.
Did you have to pick stuff from trees?
In the summertime, we didn't have any raspberry plants or any plants. We'd just go out and pick wild ones.
So you
Wild
picked wild
strawberries,
berries?
Wild strawberries, wild raspberries, wild blackberries, wild currants. All those things are growing wild. All you had to do is go out and pick them.
Out in the woods and somewhere?
Well, usually they didn't grow too good in the deep woods, usually by the edge.
Mm-hmm.
The blueberries and up on the hill.
Did you have your own cow and for your own milk, or?
No, my father and mother had about 7
Grandma,
cows.
when you were young, was it kind of like those pictures up there? Those 3 pictures? Was it kind of like those 3
Well,
pictures? Like living in a wood house like that, or picking
no, we
berries
didn't have
like
that
that?
kind of. We just had a
Road.
wooden frame house.
From school?
This is in Oregon, I think. That one, I don't know. That's in some other country in Europe. But
These
where
are the
we lived-
these are the pictures she was referring
Where
to.
we lived, why the land wasn't all cleared yet. They had to. The big trees were taken off by some logging companies, and had to cut down the rest, dig the stumps up that they left. Then after they got it cleared, you could plant things.
That's interesting. So did you make your own home then? Did they build their own
My
home?
grandfather gave my father the farm.
Did he build his own home?
It was already had a house on it and a team of horses, and he was pretty good to his children. He gave my father 2 farms. He sold his first one and went out west when he got married, and then when he went back to Michigan, his father gave him a new farm.
I guess he was hoping he'd keep him in Michigan. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess so. My father was his oldest child.
He probably loved Oregon.
Oh, somebody wants to get in.
Okay, just a second. To your dad, 2 farms. Who else did he give farms to?
Well, you know, my grandmother was married before, and her first husband got lost at sea and died.
Uh-huh.
My grandfather was her second husband, and she had 2 boys, but one of them died when he was about 4 years old. But Uncle Joe, the oldest one, Joseph, I don't know if he was named after Joseph Smith or not. I guess he was, because they were both Mormons. Uncle Joe's father and my grandmother. So my grandfather brought Joe up, so he gave him a farm too, first, because he got married first, because he was older. He was 6 years older than my father.
So he got a farm first?
When they got married, he always gave them a farm.
Wasn't that kind?
Then he gave Uncle Frank a farm, and then there was Uncle Carl. He was the youngest.
There's Grandma and her one of her grandbabies. She's got, how many grandkids do you have, Grandma?
Great grandchildren?
Uh-huh.
think I've got 33.
33 great-grandkids, and that's one of them. That's Timothy Luke. And how many grandkids do you have, Grandma?
I haven't got any much younger than this. I got Alan's and Kelly's younger.
This is Timothy Luke.
How many grandchildren do you have?
Only 20.
Oh, 20 is quite a few. You had 4 of your own children.
Yeah, 4 children.
He
Yeah.
called you Grandma.
What are you doing to Grandma?
Say button.
Playing with Grandma's button?
Say button.
Yeah.
Or-
Say button.
Oh, he loves Grandma.
Yeah, he's a nice boy, isn't he?
He said, yummy, yummy.
He's
I
gonna
like
eat
button.
my button up. I hope he can't bite it off. Does it taste good? I don't think you want that button.
She's coming from Grandma Babb's house in Dallas, Oregon.
And from Grandma Bass in Dallas, Oregon. Crazy.